Well, welcome back to Toronto. It's been a while, and since I've had a chance to see you here, and I remember I was telling the girls that when you were here with Mr. De Niro, plugging A Bronx Tale, the film, I interviewed you, and I had a great picture of the three of us sitting on a couch together.
Wow.
You know what? It's in my supply of somewhere. I wanted to show it to you, but like I say, we go way, way back. And I wanted to ask you, I mean, this started off as a one-man show.
Yes.
Then, of course, it went into theaters, became a big film. And now you're back doing this again. What sparked you to say, you know what, I want to bring this story back to audiences?
Well, I brought it back to Broadway in 2007 because there was a whole generation of people, Bonnie, who never saw the original show.
Yeah.
And the original show was so great, and the reviews were so great, I just thought about it. I said, you know, this new generation of people, they don't know that this started from this show. And I brought it back, and it was a huge hit again in 2007. And then I said, okay, I thought that was going to be it after I did Broadway. Yeah. And then I said, well, they said, why don't you do the national tour? And I got offered to do the national tour. And I said, well, okay. And I did the national tour. And I ended in Vegas. And I said, you know what? I'm going to end in Vegas.
Right.
That'll be my last stop. I'll do a nice, great run in Vegas. And then I'll put it away. I do it in Las Vegas, and it becomes show of the year.
Okay. Now you're like, what have I done?
I become show of the year, and I get offered from every casino in Las Vegas to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I went back, and I keep going back, and I just love doing it. So now I go back to Vegas, and but now I do like 2 dates out of every month.
Just bringing it to different cities.
I pick a certain city that I go, well, you know what, I never did it in that city.
Well, we're glad you brought it here because, like I said, you know, the film debuted here.
I know.
I mean, this city's got to mean a lot to you.
It really does. And I said, wow. I said, you know, I never did it in Toronto. I never did it in Canada. I never performed on stage in Canada. Yeah. And then I said, wow, to do Bronx Tale,
perfect.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know, so that's it.
Happy to have it here. And like I say, it's got to be an exhausting show for you. 18 characters. Right. You're on stage by yourself. There's, you know, it's physical. You're changing your voice. How do you do this?
You know, I get asked that question a lot. When it took a lot of practice. Yeah. Let me not kid anybody. It was a lot of practice, a lot of work, a lot of many hours of rehearsal. But then once I got it, and once it happens, now it's really, I hate to get spiritual on anybody, but it's a spiritual thing. It comes from another place. It comes from up there. I don't even know that when I'm doing it.
Yeah. It's natural.
It
must feel natural though by now.
No, it feels like you're being lifted. I'm being flown.
Huh.
And actually, I wake up when I get off. By the time I get probably in my dressing room, I start to wake up and people start talking to me.
Wow.
Really, absolutely.
That's very interesting.
No question.
Yeah. Do you still find it to be a cathartic process for you after so many years?
After so many years, yes. You know what is? I mean, Robert De Niro called it the greatest one-man show he's ever seen, and that's how when he saw it, he was like, "Oh my God, this is a movie."
Yeah.
It's just a feeling that I get when I do it. It's just I can't explain it. It's like I'm flying. It's like I'm flying.
Yeah, and what's the response like from people who maybe have seen the film and see you on stage do it? Tell me a little bit about the reactions that you're getting.
The reaction is they love the play more. They love the play more than the movie because the play is a very visual experience.
Yeah,
it reaches out and grabs you because I am the guy.
Right.
I'm Colotro.
Yeah.
I'm the little boy. So when they see me do it, it's like, holy smokes, this guy's telling a story about him. So it affects you.
Yeah.
You know, Alfred Hitchcock used to say, there's only 3 things you could do to an audience. You could make them laugh, you could make them cry, or you could scare them. And he used to say, and if you do 2 out of 3, you're doing great. Well, in Bronx Tale, I do all 3. I make you laugh, I make you cry, and I scare you. So I love doing it.
Yeah, when you look back at the genesis of all of this, and when you started your career, I mean, you were a struggling actor at the time. Right. I mean, looking back, 30 years now, and it still must feel fresh because you look back and you go, wow, you know, I had $200 in my pocket. I got offers to, write my show for films. You didn't take it until De Niro came on board and all this, but it had to have been, you look back, what a visceral experience, what an experience your life has been. And how important this story has been telling your life.
I've been blessed. I have a blessed life. I've always had. I've been very lucky. I've always been very, very lucky. For some reason, well, whatever that is, God is always like near me. He's on my shoulder somehow. And every time I'm about to do something stupid, don't get me wrong.
You do something stupid now.
And I have done stupid things. Oh, of course I have. But there's always something that just rescues me. And I decided to write this show and make my name in Hollywood. And I mean, here I was. I mean, I was an actor on the New York stage. But then I went out there and I did some television shows, but I ran out of money again. And I said, well, if they won't give me a great part, I'll write one myself. And I just started writing and performing this thing. And then finally I had a 90-minute show. I borrowed $25,000 off my friend.
Yeah.
I put it up. Bam! Every writer, it became the hottest property in the world since Rocky.
Yeah.
Since Rocky. Every writer, director, producer, studio head wanted to make it. I had $200 in the bank. I got offered $250,000 2 weeks after I put it up. And I was like, what? But they didn't want me to play Sonny. They didn't want me to write the screenplay.
Right.
I said no. They said, well, forget it then. And people thought I was crazy. A couple of weeks later, I got offered $500,000. Again, I said no. Then after that, I got offered $1 million. Again, I said no.
Wow.
And then De Niro came in about 2 weeks later to see it, and that's how it happened.
Do you still keep in close contact with him?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know him very well.
Yeah, well, he's a busy guy too.
Oh God, I think he has more restaurants than movies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think he did one in New York. Yeah. When you, and then when you got Bullets Over Broadway, I understand that Woody never even saw A Bronx Tale.
Well, Bronx Tale wasn't out yet.
Right, but he never even saw the performance on Broadway or anything like that,
no,
right? Yes.
No.
Yeah. So that's.
He just Julia Taylor.
Right, his casting director.
Director, and I came in, and I was I was an actor, New York actor, but I was unknown.
Yeah.
So I read for him. I had an audition. I read, and he just went, "It's good. It's good." That was it. I walked out of there, and I said to my agent, I said, "I don't know. He didn't say much." He goes, "Well, okay. That's Woody, but don't worry." And the next minute, they called me back again to read again. And I went, okay. I went back, I read again. He was the only one in the room. And then he walked over to me and went, yeah. I went, okay. And I left. They called me up and said I got the part.
Amazing. And then look at, Oscar
and I got
nomination.
nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, and I understand you ad-libbed a little bit too.
Oh yeah, he allowed us to ad-lib. Yeah. I mean, he wrote a great script, don't get me wrong.
Oh no, I mean, he's still
But he allowed Jennifer and I to ad-lib a lot of our scenes together, which was great.
Now, talking about Jennifer, because great segue, I'm a huge Modern Family fan. Yeah. How much fun is it to go on, to be on that show and be with that cast, but to have reunited with her in this?
With Jennifer?
Yeah, my God.
For some reason, her and I, we just work off each other. I don't know, we kind of like have this fun with each other, and it just works, And she's terrific, and I love the show.
Yeah.
The show is great. I was a fan of the show before I was ever on it. So now I'm on it, and it's just a great show to be on.
So clever.
Yes, very clever.
Great writing.
Great writing.
And tell me just about working with Ed O'Neill. I mean, the two of you just seem like you're old pals.
Well, you know what? Ed kind of comes from the same neighborhood as I do, so we're kind of from the same yoke,
Yeah.
We kind of just, we just good guy, we're just neighborhood guys. We get along real well.
Yeah. When you're doing this show, Chazz, which character is the one that gets you the most? Like when you're on there, do you ever kind of still ever choke up or do anything that just really gets you?
My father. Yeah. When I played my father mostly, and the 9-year-old.
Yeah.
For some reason, the 9-year-old gets me, because I'm doing him, and I have the innocence of him when I do it, but sometimes I think about how I was back then. I think about my son. I have a son who's 18 now.
Yeah.
Who's in Sharknado, by the way.
Oh, great film. Look what that did.
He's a wonderful actor. And he's in Sharknado 2. He just did, And I thought of him I remember when he was 9, 10 years old. And I looked at him and I said, wow, I was that age when I saw that kid. And I would be horrified if I knew my son saw something like that.
Right.
And I saw that at that age, and I can imagine my parents were, but they didn't make it a big deal to me, and I didn't. For some reason, I gotta be honest with you, I was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but obviously I did write about it.
Obviously.
So it stayed in my head. That whole thing stayed in my head. When I went to write, I wrote about that.
Yeah.
So it was definitely part of my life.
Yeah.
But I never had nightmares or things like that.
And your dad was such a great influence because he always said to you, if you have the talent, you don't waste it. There's that line that you say.
The saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Yeah.
He used to say that. And my mother was right there too. Both of them. I had a great childhood. Great parents. Great. My mom's still alive. She's 94.
Amazing.
Yeah, my dad's 90. Well, he passed away at 90.
Yeah.
But great. People don't know how great parents I had. I mean, just. They always say, my God. I said, look, I could tell you one story, then you'll know what kind of parents I have. And they say, well, all right, what's the story? I go, okay. This is the story. I was a young actor in my 20s, and then we finally moved out of the Bronx. We moved to this other place where they had the apartment above me, and I was underneath them. And when I ran out of money, I'd write on an index card, "Dear Dad, could you lend me $20?" And I would put it under the door because I get home late at night, and in the morning I wake up and I see $20 in an envelope. And I had these index cards. I would write $10. When I ran out of money, I would put that. Cut to 25 years later, 30 years later. Okay?
Yeah.
I get nominated for Academy Award.
Yeah.
Walking down the red carpet. I'm about to walk down the red carpet. We're on the line with the limo. And my parents are there. I want them there with me. I went there with my wife, who was 10. She was 8 months pregnant. And I said, my father turns to my mother and says, "Should we give it to him?" And my mother says, "Yeah, give it to him now." Father puts his hand in his pocket, takes out an envelope, and hands it to him. I look at the envelope. I said, "What's this?" He goes, "How do you want me? We're saving those with you." And I open up the thing, and I see all the index cards that I wrote down. And he said, "We saved those cards because we knew this day would happen."
Wow. That's amazing. So, oh my God, that's a great story.
I mean, you have
so
a child as a young actor, and you said, we'll save these cards, so when he gets nominated for Academy Award, we'll give him to him.
See, that's funny because my son's in a band, and every single play or anything he's played in, I keep every single ticket stub, right?
Right.
It's a thing. It's a parent thing, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's
not every parent.
No, I know that. But you have such, when you love your children, you believe in them, that's the best thing
and
that
you
have.
I know what I do, and I'm glad you brought that son to the band, because my son's a musician too. In fact, he's going to Berkeley College.
Good for him.
He's going to Berkeley.
Wow.
And here's the key. People always tell me, my son wants to be an actor, he wants to be a musician. Please talk about it. Don't tell. How do you let him do this?
Yeah.
And you know what I say to parents? I said, listen to me. I said, the business is so hard. The entertainment business is so hard.
Yeah.
He's going to hear no so much. Don't worry, he'll quit. If he doesn't have it in here, he'll quit.
Yeah.
I said, but he doesn't need his parents to tell him that he can't do it.
Exactly.
I said, because only two things could happen if you continue that behavior. One, he'll make it and he'll resent you. Two, he won't make it and he'll resent you. So it's better that you just support him.
Yeah, exactly.
And wish him well and say, you go for it.
Go for it. It's the best support you can get.
What? They want to hear that. And if for whatever reason he gets into another line of work, That's right. You're there. He said, my mother was always there. Even though, I decided to move. My mother, she supported.
Yeah. Amazing. What's up next? What are we going to see after this?
Let's see. What's up next? Well, I'm going to be back on Modern Family. I'm going to be back on Blue Bloods and Rizzoli.
Rizzoli, lots of TV. That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of television.
Yeah.
I'm also doing a play. There was I remember Robert De Niro helped me, and I read this play about a few years ago that an unknown writer wrote. I loved it so much. I said, you know what? Bob De Niro helped me. I'm going to help this guy. And I produced this play, and we're going to be doing it in L.A. in May.
Excellent.
In L.A. called Unorganized Crime.
Amazing. I might have to just come out and see that. Well, it's such a pleasure to see you again, and best of luck with this. It's just, I've seen the show, so,
well, thank you so much.
Pleasure to talk to you again.